going to talk about education. Most people get a sort of bad feeling when they listen education. Even Kenneth Robinson, you know, talked about education. When you go to a party and you say, I'm a teacher, everybody runs away. Well, that's very sad. Because it should be the best time. But not only for 20 years, that's my point, for 80, for 100 years. You should be in the learning mode. Why is that? Anybody has a clue? Why is that? But we should be in the learning mode. Well, we are born as learners. So I show you some abstract symbols, so it's not, it's a new language we're gonna invent today. But this is like Aristotle would say is your mind. It has a potential of thinking a lot. And if you do think, you realize your potential. You feel? So if you really start thinking, you become what you could be. That's very nice. And how do we know what we could be? Well, thanks for these philosophers. We have 2,000 years of experience. Aristotle said, become a good person. How? By acting what you can be. And what can you be? Thinking. Okay, let's go back to education then. Do we learn to think in education? That's a good question. Do we learn good questions in education? That's another good question. Well, I want you to think now, at this moment, in your mind or your soul or your body, some people think with their body, to think in your mind about your question that you have at this moment, a philosophical one. Not is it warm outside, because that we can find out by going outside, but a real intensive philosophical question. Can be very simple, but keep it in your mind for 30 seconds now. Try to make it in your mind for 30 seconds now, please. I will wait. And we almost reached the answer of the question of today, because we had a very nice focus. And we also felt the focus of the other people. I don't know if you noticed it, but you can feel the other person thinking. The question you keep in yourself, maybe later on we can talk about it, but the basic thing is, we could have 1 year having philosophical talks together about all these questions, and there would be very, very strong knowledge coming from this dialogues. Not discussion, not debate, but dialogues. Why is it? Because we have knowledge in ourselves. But back to education. Why didn't we do that in education? Have you any answer? Well, the questions you had in education, they were forced upon you by the teacher. I don't blame teachers, because they do a lot of teachers do a very good job. But they were forced to put questions in you, and you were forced to repeat them, and then they also gave the answers to you. And you also have to repeat them. I remember biology class, and we got 200 questions about the human body, and we had to make the answers, 200 answers, in the book. This is very interesting. How can you, what would Aristotle say? Well, Socrates would say, you can never grow as a person when you have a fixed program. Forget it. What is education? The essence of education, ladies and gentlemen, is a fixed program. Is it university? Is it a grammar school? Is it basic school? Whatever, art school, they have fixed program. Let's forget it. That will be the talk that's the plea I'm going to do. Real questions, they are very interesting. Children have very good questions. I do it also with immigrant kids, I do it with gifted kids, I do it with students of university, this talking and about questions. But there was one child, 16 years old, so he had already 14 years of education, asking an immigrant kid in Amsterdam, what is your question? Master, teacher, I don't have a question. I wait because I know you have a question. And then after 5 minutes waiting, and she was really realizing this man is going to wait, then she said, okay, I have one question. What is the meaning of life? Okay, that's the real one. Another girl had a question, why do water comes from the air? Then you realize this girl have had information for 16 years and never landed any knowledge in her mind. But still she had the motivation to know this. So that's the clue. So good questions are crucial. did you know why we live in a Newtonian physical world with all these machines? Thanks to the question Newton posed himself. What did he say? People were always busy with the question, does the Earth revolve around the Sun or the Sun around the Earth? And then he saw an apple falling from a tree, and he said, wow, this is the question. Why does the moon not fall on the Earth? And even children now ask this question. Why does the moon not fall on the Earth? And this question was the beginning of the Newtonian physics. Can you imagine? Our son asked, when you turn your eyes, you can do it with children from when they talk. You can say, what is your question today? The son asked, when you turn your eyes afterwards, can you look in your head? Well, and also they ask very good questions like, why have animals no clothes? Start thinking about it. All the TED Talks is so very nice. All the TED Talks give you the question and the answer. Because all these people have had the courage to put questions first. So we have to go for questions. Why is that so important? Well, let's look at a different one. And this is what Plato teaches us. 2000 years ago, but that doesn't mean that he's wrong. Eh? He said, listen, to become a good person, you have to realize that we have three parts in our system. We have a mind, we have a heart, and we have a belly. We have thinking, we have will, and we have lust and desire. No big deal. But the challenge is to make friends between the three parts of the human soul, or the human body. That's an interesting one. And then he wrote all his books, well, many letters, about how to become a good person. We have to have a good society. We have to have a good environment to stimulate this. And then you can feel that a question starts from the heart. The question starts from the middle part. And then it motivates us for knowledge. If we go back to education, then we see that these questions are basically put outside, so the brain cannot develop very strongly. There is no energy, so biological force to growth. So we are killing creativity. There is now a manifesto on the internet, and it's about stop killing our creative inventors. And you can sign it, and it's everywhere now, and it's amazing, a manifesto. And they say we have to save the kids to become creative. Well, why? Because the world is demanding this. If you look at everything now from Mobile Congress, yesterday I was with Dutch mobile businessmen. Everything is possible, but they don't know what to do. Because if everything is possible, what should I make? So we should go back for what is the question. Here we see an even bigger problem, because at school, the kids has fragmented knowledge. The heart is not at school. It's not about how you become a good person. It's not about emotional intelligence. It's not about how to have good relationship. Because we put 30 kids into one basket, and one poor teacher who has to take order in all this mess, that's asking for trouble. Yeah. But when the kid goes outside in society, then you say, oh, maybe there is the heart society. Not at all. What is in the outward society? The only stimuli is the belly part. You have advertisement, you have sexual stimuli. Even in all this sporting is an accent on desire and lust. If you combine that, abstract thinking, which is not yours, and lustful, which is also not yours, then you call this the pornographic self. So we are in a very big problem of identity. And we see it with internet. What is the biggest traffic in internet nowadays? It's pornography. Why is that? Because internet made pornography cool. Because when I was young, when you said I watched pornography, that was very, very uncool. Then you were something like a dirty old man. Now young people say, I watched it and it was very nice. You have to see this, and they pass it through, and they, in class, they're not watching the teacher, they're watching on a mobile pornographic images. This is a real problem, which has to do with the fragmentation of our young people, but even of our adults, of ourselves. So we are fragmented selves. That's quite a heavy conclusion. But is there hope? Yes, of course there's hope, because all we see is a lot of initiatives in the world, and we see that a sort of collapse of systems. We see that at internet a lot of person-to-person things are happening. So that would be a very tremendous new challenge. What is now a very strong structures I want to talk to you about, which is the Socratic dialogue. The Socratic dialogue, invented, of course, by Socrates, and it has to do with an attempt to unify always the three aspects of a person. When I do a Socratic dialogue, we go and sit together with 10 people or 15 people or 5 people, and we formulate our question together. And we use philosophical methodologies to analyze the question, but above all, we listen. So we listen to the question, and we listen to one another. So one person says something, then I ask the other person, what did the one person say? You cannot repeat it. That's the first smash. Then we do it all over again, and then you change your whole attitude. Oh, I have to repeat everything another person has said. Wow, that's crazy, because I'm used to debate. And when you listen one word, you can attack the other person. But when you have to listen, something will change completely. And this is a very forceful methodology, which even a lot of business changed their internal communication with this methodology. I remember a CEO of a game industry in France who said, Humberto, 2 years ago, that day I will never forget, I was in a Socratic dialogue, and I'm 50 years old, and I realized that I had never in my life listened to another person. That's the story. So we have to systematically reorganize ourselves, leave our ego positions, and go into Socratic dialogue when it's not your position or your position, it's our system that we go ahead. In this dialogue, why is that the heart is functioning in the dialogue? How come? Because we are biological creatures. So when you sit together like now, you feel connected and the system works stronger. When you have a structure, you have a culture, which gives you a new attitude. So that is the way that we can produce new knowledge, by caressing this question. How can we do this? We can do this at any moment, at any time, but to start with, we can do it in schools. So we can say kids will have dialogues every day, and they will reflect on that question every day. Then they will grow, and now it comes with a person as an example. You see the brown sign is a complete person, a unified person. There exist a lot of unified personalities. We should contact them with young kids, or with adolescents, or with other person. So our task is not to maintain an educational system for the system itself. We have to ask our strong personalities to contact with young people. They will do it because they feel this as a nice task. And because of these examples, the young will develop themselves. So it means that we have, it's philosophically very abstract, but it means that we go from abstract knowledge, and I've studied 2 studies to know that most university studies are more abstract than concrete. That means that they go about a world which maybe doesn't exist, and completely loses the person-to-person relation. So we have to go back to the person-to-person relation, and that is the dialogue. And when you go there, then always this left person will develop as an example to the right one, the good one. So this means that we have to change the educational system. But it's all about money, of course. We invest a lot of money in education. How can we solve it? Well, look at internet. What can you learn on internet? Well, basically, what can you not learn on internet? Almost everything. You can learn to play music, language. In Spain, everybody have 15 years of English classes, and the majority of people doesn't speak English. If I give you $300 or 300 euros, you will learn with an internet program in 3 months perfectly English. Because it's interactive, because it feels, oh, you can this, and we go in that level. So it reacts every moment. So you feel your child in you, you want to go to the next level. If I learn physics, there's a physics program on the internet. The laws of physics, when I explain to you, is arrows and the degrees, you get lost. You say, don't understand physics. If I give you cut the rope, the game of your iPad or your iPhone, you will make very complex Newtonian movements. So what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that we have to incorporate this gaming, this long-distance learning. You can talk with the Nobel Prize winner in MIT because he gives college to 1 million students, no problem. We should combine it because leave our kids on internet is dangerous, we know that. So we need a good structure to combine the internet with the Socratic dialogue. And that's called the Socratic Learning Hub. That means every day you are in contact with rich personalities, and the money the government spends on a child, you know how much that is? Every child consumes like 60,000 euro or 100,000 euro in his lifetime. We give it to the parents, like drawing rights, and we say, you can choose your internet applications for your child. What can you do with that money? Well, but we have to have this personal growth, so we need good Socratic learning hubs, houses. The village house can be a center for dialogue. Can be good teachers, there are a lot of good teachers. They transform in Socratic tutors. But can be businessmen who wants to have contact with kids. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do something. Because the future, we don't know. Tomorrow, in 5 years, Mobile World Congress will be completely different. Because whole Africa will be in there. Did you know what Africans are planning to do with mobile? No. But they have very strange and rich and good plans. So the world is going to be totally different. That means, let's prepare our kids for putting good questions. Give them trust, put the money where it should be, in strong learning. So we have every day this learning in the village, in the town, in the library, or with your iPhone in the park. We always know where you are. We can even put a cam to protect you, but you can use the internet at maximum, and there is no exam because the level is endless. If you give kids the game, they go endless. They don't say, I want my exam now, I want to the next level. Then we combine, ladies and gentlemen, the best of both worlds. Technology and the classical philosophy of 2000 years ago. Plato already warned us for the big society. He called this the big society, where you forget your heart. He also warned us for a society with only brains. Because if you have only brains and you don't use your heart and your belly, this person is punished by circulating 20,000 years around the earth without brain. So, what should we do? We should do something to get kids complete. I want to close with a logo which represents this, and it is produced by Miguel A. Tillman, Holland and Spain together, and it signifies how we can become, by being together in intense dialogue, for the moment have this unity and produce person-to-person knowledge, in which every mobile company can do what we want. We say we want this and everything is possible. That's this, we see the three parts. It grows in the dialogue because we are together, and because we are together, we are a biological, neurological system. We know from the neuroscientists that your brain functions better with other people. You see this coming to a unity. And what's the result? The result is our model of a good person. So the answer to the question was, what is a good person? Thank you.